welcome to my April reading wrap-up and the reveal of the reading challenge theme for May. Now, this month wasn't the best reading month for me personally, and it was nothing to do with the books. The 3 books that I just about managed to read were really good. I just couldn't find the motivation to actually sit down and read or be fully engaged in what I was reading. So I think the rates that I have for these books possibly reflect slightly on just my mood and my attention for reading this month, but I will try to be as fair as possible. So to begin with, I have A Song of Legends Lost. As you may recall, last month's theme, I was only reading new to me authors. And I realised this particular author would actually be new to everyone because looking inside, this is actually their debut. And the sequel to this is coming out later this year. There were several POVs in this. It centres around a world where you can summon these spirits of your ancestors, and generally it's more the elite of society that can do this, but there are others that seem to stumble across an ability to do the same, but then also raising the question, are they actually summoning ancestors or something else? So there's a lot of mystery about what's actually going on and how the magic works, and whether what they think they know of history is true. So overall, this was a really intriguing read for me. I was engaged at times when I was actually in the mood. The way this is laid out is very compelling. The different POVs pretty much alternate, so you're not away from a particular character for too long. So at the end of a lot of the chapters, you want to keep reading to find out what happens to them, but then you read another character and then you realise, oh yeah, their story is really interesting as well, and you get to the end and you want to keep reading it. So you have to keep reading 2 or 3 chapters to get to the next POV, but each POV ends up being rather compelling in and of itself. So overall, I did rate this a solid 4 stars, and definitely considering continuing when the sequel is released later this year. The next book is The Book That Wouldn't Burn by Mark Lawrence. Now, this one I pretty much only consumed via the audiobook, and the audiobook was really good. I enjoyed the narrator. They were really good at doing different voices and telling the story. I can't listen to an audiobook if the narrator is annoying in any way, so I would definitely just stop and move on to a different medium. So they did a really good job of it, and this is a well-written book. There is a lot going on. There is a lot of mystery and a lot of action that happens kind of towards the end. It all does start to build up, and I was interested to figure out what was going on and the reveals of any mysteries or secrets that were happening throughout the story. And it mainly centers around a young boy and a young girl from 2 different walks of life, but have very strong ties to the library, and how their lives converge and time passes as well and they get older. And as I say, this is a very well written book. The audiobook was great, but this was definitely one of the casualties of my sort of reading slump and non-motivated month of reading. So as I say, I think this is a very well written book. I think this probably deserves a higher rating than I gave it, which is only 3.5 stars, but still a very good read, and I think there is a big audience for this, and I think a lot of people do like it as well. I have seen some fantastic reviews. But for me, in my particular mindset this month, this just didn't quite hit the way I wanted to, and I'm not sure if I'm going to continue with the series. If I do complete the trilogy, it probably will be via audiobook, just so I can find it easier to take it all in. And for my third and final book, I have Bat Eater by Kylie Lee Baker. Now I have to say, this was my most enjoyable book of the month. I gave this a 4.25. And this is a departure in genre for me. This is a horror book. I'm dipping my toes into horror and into the more really creepy, gory, ghostly side of horror. And I really enjoyed this. It definitely had a lot of moments of spooky tension. There are hungry ghosts in this, so that just adds another element of gore and mystery to the whole thing. So when Cora, Zeng's sister, is pushed in front of a train and killed during the pandemic, the very start of the pandemic, Cora's life is completely turned upside down, and a few months later she becomes a crime scene cleaner and discovers a further mystery just involving a lot more Asian women being killed and bats being left at the crime scenes. So you've got this combination of serial killer mystery during the pandemic, which is a time that a lot of us still remember and can relate to, but also this is a spooky ghost story and centering around hungry ghosts in particular, who are just restless souls that can't find any peace and are actually hungry, and sometimes food and other things don't quite satiate them, but maybe human blood and flesh will. I would highly recommend this book to anyone wanting to read horror. I think it's probably a good entry point as well, as this is something that introduced me to the genre a bit more strongly. Now moving on to the May Reading Challenge theme, and this month it's going to be, drumroll please, Murder Mystery May. Now I have 3 more contemporary fiction thrillers and 3 fantasies. Firstly, I thought ahead, I planned ahead, and I put in an early request at the library, and it came through just the other day, and I now have my hands on The Ending Writes Itself by Evelyn Clarke. I'm sure most of you know, is the writing duo of V.E. Schwab and Cat Clarke. The reveal of the secretive author duo was somewhat of a mystery in itself, and I'm very excited to pick this up. I do particularly enjoy V.E. Schwab's novels anyway, so we'll see how this fares. Let's read the inside. 6 authors, 1 private island, 72 hours to write the ending that will change their lives. Arthur Fletch, one of the world's best-selling novelists, is a reclusive genius known for his iconic protagonists and fiendish twists. When 6 struggling authors are invited to spend a weekend on his private Scottish island, they arrive to discover a shocking secret. Arthur Fletch is dead, and his last book is unfinished. Desperate to publish the novel, Fletcher's agent and editor have summoned these writers in the hope that one of them will imagine a worthy ending for this final book. To sweeten the deal, they are offering an irresistible prize. In addition to the honour of ghostwriting the final chapters, for a mind-boggling sum, Fletcher's team will also help the lucky writer successfully relaunch their own career, guaranteeing future bestsellers. The catch? The writers have just 72 hours to finish Fletcher's magnum opus. It's the perfect plot. All it needs is a killer ending. Well, it sounds like the perfect murder mystery for this month's theme, and I think this is very likely to be one of the first books that I pick up this month. Next up, I have Vera Wong's Unsolicited Advice for Murderers. I've heard some good reviews of this one, and this is definitely a departure from what I normally read. I think this is still a murder mystery, but a bit more light-hearted. I think maybe a bit funny as well. I think this old lady character is definitely got some attitude, so let's read the blurb and see what we're actually getting ourselves in for. Vera Wong is a lonely little old lady, a lady of a certain age, who lives above her forgotten tea shop in the middle of San Francisco's Chinatown. Despite living alone, Vera is not needy. Oh no, she likes nothing more than sipping on a good cup of oolong and doing some healthy detective work on the internet about what her Gen Z son is up to. Then one morning, Vera trudges downstairs to find a curious thing, a dead man in the middle of her tea shop. In his outstretched hand is a flash drive. Vera doesn't know what comes over her, but after calling the cops like any good citizen would, she sort of swipes the flash drive from the body and tucks it safely into the pocket of her apron. Why? Because Vera is sure she will do a better job than the police possibly can. Nobody sniffs out a wrongdoing quite like a suspicious Chinese mother with time on her hands. Vera knows the killer will be back for the flash drive. All she has to do is watch the increasing number of customers at her shop and figure out which one among them is the killer. What Vera does not expect is to form friendships with her customers and start to care for each and every one of them. As a protective mother hen, will she end up having to give one of her newfound chicks to the police? It sounds like it could be fun. Vera certainly sounds like a character, and as I say, it's quite a departure of genre for me, so that's partly what I want to do and want to challenge myself with these particular challenges, is just explore different genres, take me out of my comfort zone. So, other than the fantasy murder mysteries that I've chosen, these are definitely achieving that. Now we have one that I have known about for a while. I'm not sure when this was originally published, but it's been around for a few years. 2016. And I'm pretty sure there have been a TV adaptation of this. But when I actually read the blurb, realised that actually it kind of falls under the category of murder mystery. So I thought I'd pick this up and see what it was all about. London, 1893. When Cora Seaborn's brilliant, domineering husband dies, she steps into her new life as a widow with as much relief as sadness. Her marriage was an unhappy one, and she never suited the role of society wife. Seeking refuge in fresh air and open space, she leaves the metropolis for coastal Essex, accompanied by her inquisitive and obsessive 11-year-old son Francis and the boy's nanny Martha, her fiercely protective friend. Once there, they hear rumours that after nearly 300 years, the mythical Essex Serpent, a fearsome creature that once roamed the marshes, has returned. When a young man is mysteriously killed on New Year's Eve, the community's dread transforms to terror. Cora, a keen amateur naturalist, with no patience for religion or superstition, is immediately enthralled, certain that what locals think is a magical sea beast may be a previously undiscovered species. Eager to investigate, she is introduced to parish vicar William Ransom, who is equally suspicious of the rumours, but for different reasons. A man of faith, he is convinced the alarming reports are caused by moral panic, a flight from the correct and righteous path. As Cora and William attempt to discover the truth about the Essex Serpent's existence, these seeming opposites find themselves inexorably drawn together in an intense relationship that will change both of them in ways entirely unexpected. And as they search for answers, Cora's London past follows her to the coast with striking consequences. So, that's The Essex Serpent by Sarah Perry. So, those are the 3 non-fantasies I have. Moving on to the fantasies. To start with, I have got The Last Hour Between Worlds by Melissa Caruso. Star investigator Kimbrel Thorne has a few hours away from her newborn, and she just wants to relax and enjoy the year-turning party. But when people start dropping dead, she's got to get to work, especially when she finds that mysterious forces are plunging the whole party down through layers of reality and into a nightmare. 1 layer down, it's no big deal. Stay alert and you'll be fine. 2, 3 layers down, natural laws are negotiable and things get very strange. 4 layers down, there are creatures with eyes in their teeth and walls that drip blood. Most people who fall this far never return. Luckily, Kem isn't most people, but as cosmic powers align and the hour grows late, she'll have to work with her awfully compelling nemesis, notorious cat burglar, Rika Nunsuch, for a chance to save her city, though not her night off. Very, very mysterious. The next one I have is a memory called Empire by Arkady Martine. Now, I think this is probably more of a sci-fi epic murder mystery, all kind of centered around linguistics and a lot of politics. Let's read what it says. From what I recall, there are a lot of unusual names and words in here, and I think it trips a lot of people up, so maybe use of an audiobook on this one might be useful. Let's see how I butcher all of these words. Ambassador Mahit Zemir travels to the capital of the interstellar Texkalanli Empire, eager to take up her new post. She arrives only to discover that her predecessor has died, and no one will admit that his death wasn't accidental, or that Mahit might be next. Now Mahit must discover who is behind the murder, rescue herself, and save her small but fiercely independent mining station from Texkalan's unceasing expansion, all while navigating an alien culture that is all too seductive, engaging in intrigues of her own, and hiding a deadly technological secret. One that might spell the end of her station and her way of life, or rescue it from annihilation. I have heard some good reviews about this one, but I think it also has the potential to be quite complex, and maybe too complex for me, or you kind of need to be in the right headspace to really take everything in. But we'll see if I get to it, and we'll see how I get on. Since I have 6 books in this list, I doubt I will read them all this month. Lastly, I hope to read The Tainted Cup by Robert Jackson Bennett, represented here by the sequel, A Drop of Corruption. I do have the first one as an ebook, and I couldn't get hold of the physical copy from the library. I placed a hold, but there were just too many holds in front of me, but they had this one. So this is here to represent and to make all of the lovely book sounds. Plus, if I really, really enjoy it, then I can go straight into the sequel. To read the blurb on the back of this one and potentially spoil anything about the first, but I do know that it's a kind of Sherlock and Holmes inspired mystery with the characters are Anna and Din. And they live in a world where there are kind of monstrous creatures. I'm pretty sure there is definitely a murder mystery all involved in these stories. Some praise for the first one, though. Utterly addictive, great fantasy detective stories are too rare, but Bennett more than delivers. A thoroughly satisfying delight from start to finish. A genre-spanning mystery masterpiece. Superb, Bennett writes the kind of fun, propulsive work that kept my teenage self scouring the shelves for the next installment. believe the first one won an award. Was it the Hugo Prize, possibly? And then I think this one actually might be shortlisted as well this year. So very promising. And this is, I think, one of the priority reads for me. I have definitely heard so many wonderful things about both of these books in the series. Well, there's my reading review and the potential reads for the upcoming May Reading Challenge. As always, I hope you will join me this month, pick up some murder mysteries. Maybe you read them all the time, or maybe, like me, it's slightly out of your comfort zone. So if you do join along with me, good luck and happy reading!